What are some common mistakes that you see web series creators make over and over again?
Oh gosh, I think one of the things is that a lot of people don't understand exactly what a web series is, and sometimes that what they're trying to do is they're trying to take maybe a script that a film script that's like 100 minutes or 90 minutes, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut it up into episodes so that it would be like, this is my movie and I'm cutting it up. So the problem is that when it's shown, web series audiences are very fickle people. And the main thing is because, we've got that little mouse and we can click on that thing anytime we want to, or a television set, you just click the remote if you change channels, and you can click and go to another web series very, very easily if you don't catch someone's attention right away. And people don't understand that you can't just take a film script and chop it up and that's it. You have 90 minutes or 100 minutes to tell a whole story. You need to capture somebody's attention right away within the first 2 or 3 minutes. So a lot of people, especially because I'm with the LA Web Fest, I'm on their board, and one of our common complaints when we get people sending things in is they will have web series that are sometimes 15, 20, 25 minutes long. That's not a web series, that's a short film. And so in fact, a lot of the web fest people now, we're trying to limit it, to keep it, because a web series is we like to show them, and we like to show as many episodes as we can, but we can't if somebody's got 25-minute episodes, then it's taking up too much time. So we tell people a web series, if it's comedy, it shouldn't be longer than about 6 minutes. If it's a drama, no more than 8 to 10 minutes at the most per episode. So I think it's understanding that web series should be looked at as its own medium, and not that, oh, this is a movie and just cut up into little pieces.
Interesting. And how many episodes would you recommend most web series have?
The average web series, I've seen some that were as little as maybe 4 or 5 episodes for one season. I would say the average is 8 to 10 a season, and dramas tend to be slightly longer. As I mentioned, most of them, I would say, are between 8 to 10 minutes, and the comedies are usually more like 4 to 6 minutes. Some of them are as short as a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
What are your thoughts of a web series creator making a web series and aiming for sponsorship right away? I'm hearing that from a lot of web series. We're looking for sponsor, and that's like the only goal behind it.
Well, if you don't have a product, you're not going to get a sponsor. I mean, it's like it's the same thing as saying, okay, I got to find a studio to distribute my movie. Well, you haven't written the movie yet. So I think a lot of people get misled into thinking, well, as long as I have this crowdfunding campaign going and I can get money raised, then I can do all of this. Most of the web series people that I've talked to, a lot of them, they just started off just because they felt they needed to do it and they wanted to do it, and they had so much fun. It was just a bunch of people. A lot of times they were cousins or brothers and sisters, siblings or some. A lot of times it was just kids in a dorm that just decided let's do one, and they just did it. And they would. We've had some that have been as primitive as just using your iPhone. And we had some that have been very sophisticated where, they actually use wonderful, technical things with camera and stuff like that. And some have brilliant, special effects and all that. It just depends on where you're at and what your story is. Some of the more successful stories, though, I think, are the ones that are done just because these people felt they needed to be done. And they just, they had an interesting set of characters in an unusual circumstance. As an example, some of this, I love the stories that come behind the web series, and one of the things that I've been doing is I've been asked to go to the different web fests around the world, talking about web series that concern social issues, and it was very interesting. Is that one of them is called Fasatine, and it was about basically it was called Fasatine because it was about a situation in Lebanon, in Beirut, Lebanon. The creator of it, her name is Kathie, and she lived and grew up in Lebanon, middle class family or upper middle class, I don't know, but they owned some apartments, and she did her college work in London because there weren't any universities that she felt that she could go to in Lebanon that would support the fact that she wanted to do communication and television and stuff like that. So anyway, her family sent her up there. She actually did quite well. She started working for the BBC, and she was their Al Jazeera contact because she could speak, several different languages. And she even got some awards for her work. But her parents were getting older, and so she made the decision to move back to Beirut and, stay with her family for a while and maybe see if how things were there. And she realized when she met with some of her friends that she had grown up with that a lot of things had gotten worse in Lebanon. They, of course, had there were some bombings and there were areas where neighborhoods where it used to be safe and they're no longer safe. And she realized there was something that she wanted to say, and she felt that women especially were the ones who were not progressing in Lebanon. Her Fasatine is about 3 women who eventually become best friends. And one is her husband has left her with their kid at his parents' place. He's through with marriage. He doesn't want he doesn't want to be married. He doesn't want to be a father. And she is left by herself with their young child and with the in-laws. And she doesn't know what she should do. She does not get along with the in-laws. They blame her for everything. Well, our son wouldn't have left if you were a good wife or you were a good mother, and constantly blaming her. So she needs to find a place to stay. She ends up finding a place to stay in an apartment building, and the gal the daughter of the apartment owner is very creative, and she likes to make movies, and she likes to, she's just curious about things, and she writes and she does poetry, and she's just very creative. And her father keeps saying, when are you just going to settle down and get married? I should just marry you off. And of course she doesn't want that to happen. And so the father, the parents are well-meaning, but they're very old-fashioned about it. But she sweet talks her father into accepting this woman to be in one of their apartments. The woman has to work, and so she takes the son. She needs a tutor she's a tutor, and so she tutors for this woman who is very wealthy, but she has a couple of kids, but her husband works in Dubai.
Oh.
And so she's by herself, but she's got a nanny and she's got all this, but she needs a tutor. So the woman who's divorced is the tutor. But it's these 3 women who actually become very good friends. And what she did at the end of each web series was they got to vote on the ending.
The audience did?
The audience got to vote for the ending, and then they would show the ending at the beginning of the next episode, on whichever one got the vote. And I asked her, well, why did you do that? And she said, I wanted to give women the opportunity to vote, to have an option, because they have so few options in my country.
Oh, wow.
And Fasatine won the grand prize at the Marseille Web Fest.
Wow, good for her. And I'm sorry, what was the name of her website?
Fasatine.
Fasatine.
Fasatteen.
Great.
Yeah, and it's an
her.
amazing one.